Hand over heart, Biden joins grieving families of U.S. troops killed in Jordan as remains arrive home. President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden have joined grieving families at Dover Air Force Base for the dignified transfer of the 3 American service members killed in a drone attack in Jordan last weekend. Standing solemnly under gray skies, President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden joined grieving families at Dover Air Force Base on Friday to witness the return of 3 American service members killed in last weekend's drone attack in Jordan. It's a ritual honoring fallen troops that is one of a commander-in-chief's most somber duties. With his gloved right hand over his heart, Biden looked on as the 3 transfer cases draped with American flags were carried the short distance from a C-5 Galaxy military transport aircraft to a waiting van. The only words spoken during the 15-minute dignified transfer, aside from the commands as each case was carried, were from an Air Force chaplain's brief prayer, asking God for grace and mercy. The first transfer case held the remains of Sergeant William Jerome Rivers of Carrollton, Georgia. The movement was then repeated for Sergeant Breonna Moffett of Savannah and Sergeant Kennedy Sanders of Waycross. Once the 7-member, white-gloved carry team composed of members of the U.S. Army, in which Rivers, Moffett, and Sanders served, placed the last of the cases in the van. They offered a final salute as the remains were transported to the mortuary facility at Dover. Before the dignified transfer, the Bidens met privately with the families at the Center for Families of the Fallen on the base. The president had also spoken with them earlier this week to offer his condolences. "This is not the homecoming for Kennedy I dreamed about," Sanders' father, Sean, wrote in a Facebook posting Friday morning. "Now, I can't stop reliving this nightmare." In the post, Sean Sanders said that kindness and outpouring of love was the only thing holding me up since his daughter's death. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, who walked with the assistance of a cane, and General C.Q. Brown, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, were among the Defense Department and administration officials who joined the Bidens for the dignified transfer. A solemn movement conducted for U.S. service members killed in action. Georgia Senators John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, as well as Representative Buddy Carter, who represents the home district of Moffett and Sanders, and Delaware Senators Tom Carper and Chris Coons attended. President Joe Biden watches as an Army carry team moves the flag-draped transfer case containing the remains of U.S. Army Sergeant William Jerome Rivers, 46, of Carrollton, Georgia, during a casualty return at Dover Air Force Base, Delaware. Friday, February 2, 2024. Rivers was killed in a drone attack in Jordan on January 28. The soldiers were returned to American soil shortly before the U.S. military responded to the deadly drone attack that American officials say was carried out by the Islamic resistance in Iraq, an umbrella group of Iran-backed militias that includes the group Kataib Hezbollah. The U.S. began a wave of retaliatory airstrikes Friday, targeting dozens of sites in Iraq and Syria used by Iran-backed militias. In a statement Friday evening, Biden warned that the U.S. response will continue at times and places of our choosing. "Let all those who might seek to do us harm know this. If you harm an American, we will respond," the president said. Rivers, Moffett, and Sanders were assigned to the 926th Engineer Battalion, 926th Engineer Brigade, based at Fort Moore. Sanders and Moffett were posthumously promoted to sergeant rank. The deaths were the first U.S. fatalities blamed on Iran-backed militia groups, who for months have been intensifying their attacks on American forces in the region following the onset of the Israel-Hamas war in October. Separately, 2 Navy SEALs died during a January mission to board an unflagged ship that was carrying illicit Iranian-made weapons to Yemen. These service members embodied the very best of our nation, unwavering in their bravery, unflinching in their duty, unbending in their commitment to our country, risking their own safety for the safety of their fellow Americans and our allies